Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth and Joint Chiefs of Staff Chair General Dan Kane came together earlier this morning for a news conference at the Pentagon following those Iranian nuclear attacks.
A preliminary assessment produced by the Defense Intelligence Agency said that American bombs and missiles caused a setback of a few months. The president, of course, is rejecting that conclusion.
Hegseth would go on to accuse reporters of failing to acknowledge, quote, historic moments like improved military recruiting and increased spending on European defense by U.S. allies on the continent.
Joining us this morning, retired Marine Colonel Mark Cancian, a senior advisor with the Center for Strategic and International Studies. Colonel, thank you again. We told you we'd be probably talking to you at least every day the next couple of weeks, so thanks for joining us on short notice this morning. We saw a very spirited SecDef speak moments ago. What were your thoughts on what was shared, and were questions that you had answered?
Well, we did learn more about the strike. The secretary noted what a complex operation it was, how flawlessly it was executed, and that only the United States could have done it. And I think everyone agrees on that. The chairman had a very interesting discussion about the technical aspects. He made two important points. The first is that the United States has been developing the weapon, the GBU-57, to attack this specific target for 15 years and has done extensive testing to see if we could get a weapon that would penetrate this kind of target. The second thing is that we have been watching the Iranians build this facility and had identified two weak points. Those are two ventilation shafts. The Iranians had tried to cover them with concrete. The United States dropped 6 weapons, at least, on each one of them to break through the concrete and then to bury into the target. But we really don't know whether the centrifuges inside were destroyed. The Israelis say that the facility was badly damaged, but that the centrifuges were not destroyed. We really won't know that for some time. And of course, Hegseth went on for an extended period about how the intelligence report was preliminary. It's also important to keep in mind that the attention on the enriched uranium that Iran has already produced is important, but that's not weapons grade. And what is important is that when you look at the whole air campaign, not just the United States, but Israel as well, the Iranian nuclear program has been set back several years at least.
Okay, and that's something that we talked with you about earlier this week before we had this press conference. You know, that report saying, hey, this attack only set their program back a couple months. The president saying that it was completely destroyed, and you fell in that middle camp. Are you still sitting there?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think that General Kane was moving in that direction, and even the Secretary Hegseth was moving that direction, because he at one point he said, well, whether you want to call it obliterated or badly damaged, it was very successful.
We were focusing a lot on obliterated, successful, or not. In terms of the leaked report, though, that's what I'm curious about. Are you concerned at all that we're having a leaked intelligence report before these intelligence agencies can come together and produce one single document? Because that, to me, is concerning. Why are we having a leaked document, which is supposed to be, I think at this point, classified intelligence until they declassify it?
Well, absolutely. And every administration complains about leaks from the Pentagon and the intelligence community. President Obama actually charged a journalist with receiving classified materials. This is a long-standing tension. And Secretary Hegseth's point was correct. That is that people leak documents, leak information in order to put a certain narrative out there. Of course, he didn't like this particular narrative.
Colonel, I'm curious, without inspectors on the ground for the U.S. or for Israel to confirm how much damage, is the program, whether it's months set back, whether it's a year, whether it's decades, it doesn't matter how far it's set back. At some point, they're going to continue and pick up wherever they left off. Do we, the United States, do we go back? Do we finish the job? Was it a one and done? I mean, they're going to at some point go back to what they were working on, right?
Well, it's possible. Regardless of how long it takes them to rebuild their program, and they could make that decision, but they may decide that spending the tens of billions of dollars to get back to where they were is not worthwhile, given that there could be another strike in the future. They may decide to make the best deal they can through negotiations. The Iraqis and the Syrians made that decision. The Israelis attacked the Iraqi reactor at Osiris in 1981. The Iraqis decided not to rebuild the program. The same thing happened in the early 2000s. The Israelis attacked a Syrian reactor. They did not rebuild it either. So it's possible that the Iranians will make the decision not to rebuild.
Colonel, while we have you here, I do want to ask you, and it is in the same vein of this strike against their nuclear facilities. We have reports that we haven't seen the Ayatollah in a few days. And now we have said that Israel said they're no longer interested in taking him out. America has said that as well. Are you concerned at all, though, at the fact that we haven't seen the Ayatollah? And are you concerned at all that we may see a regime change? Maybe it's not the United States is doing, but Israel's doing in the coming days and weeks?
Not at this point. Israel would certainly like to have regime change, and there were reports that they wanted to take out the Ayatollah, but the United States pushed back against that. The United States wanted to focus the air campaign tightly on Iran's nuclear program. Now that there's a ceasefire, a shaky one, but seems to be holding, it will be difficult for Israel to induce a regime change. That doesn't mean that they won't keep pushing against the regime. They clearly have operatives in the country. But at this point, that has receded a bit.
All right, Colonel Mark Cancian joining us for a third time this week. Thank you so much for your expertise, really valuable insight and information that, us people up here, plebeians, don't really have. So thank you so much this morning. And I know that we'll probably be checking in with you next week.
Thanks for having me on the show for the third time.
Queen City News Plus. Just search Queen City News on your smart TV's app store.